September is the peak of the Atlantic hurricane season, and it's also known for some vicious hurricanes that have caused serious damage to this country, like Nicole, Ivan, and let's not forget Gilbert. That's surely sufficient reason we can't afford to not be prepared and alert for any eventuality. Hello, I'm Adrian Atkinson, and today's magazine reminds you of some of the must-dos. That conversation starts right now.
Hurricanes can strike at any time. In the event of one, be prepared to act quickly. If a hurricane watch or warning has been issued, review your home disaster response plan. Map out likely routes to evacuate if your home is at risk, and confirm with relatives or friends you plan to stay with. Also, confirm the location of the nearest shelter. Check your emergency supplies and restock if necessary. Remember, disasters do happen, so be prepared.
Good day, I'm Tamara McHale, and this is your GIS News for Thursday, September 3. Government will soon be signing an agreement to develop a 10-year strategic plan for advancing healthcare services in Jamaica. The proposal has already been approved by Cabinet and the Inter-American Development Bank, which will be providing the $250,000 needed to fund the plan.
And the agreement was recently reviewed and signed off by the Attorney General's Chamber. We are now at a stage where we will shortly have a signing of the agreement to develop the 10-year strategy, which will be guided by a multi-sectoral group to be established.
The Health Minister says that group will provide guidance to the technical team, which will include external and local consultants with support from PAHO, CARPA and other agencies. Dr. Ferguson made the announcement on Wednesday at a press conference to announce the findings of a comprehensive audit of the regional health authorities. It identified inadequacies in several areas, including infection prevention and control, the provision of pharmaceuticals, equipment and other medical supplies, as well as major defects in infrastructure.
We have acknowledged that the health sector is in need of some reform to meet the change in health care needs of the population. We must embark on this with an appropriate plan to take us forward. The piecemeal approach of the past has not served us well.
20 schools will be removed from the shift system starting Monday, September 7, with another 12 targeted for removal later in the 2015-2016 academic year. Education Minister Reverend Ronald Thwaites will update the nation on this and more in a national broadcast this Sunday.
The elimination of the shift system will improve teaching and learning by increasing the teacher-pupil contact time. Every hour of class time is essential. We cannot afford to waste learning time because of lateness or indiscipline.
Meanwhile, the Education Minister says the results of the latest Grade 4 literacy test indicate that the country has achieved the target of 85% mastery of literacy by 2015.
This means that 100% mastery by the age cohort has been achieved. That's when we discount for the 15% of students who have learning disabilities and who will receive special attention.
Tune in for a broadcast of the Minister's back-to-school message on Sunday, September 6 on this station. The Labour and Social Security Ministry is working on crafting training initiatives for participants in the Overseas Farm Work Programme. Portfolio Minister Derek Kelly says this is being done in partnership with various educational and vocational institutions. The goal is to maintain a pool of persons equipped and trained to participate in the farm work program. Minister Kelly made the announcement in New York recently as he presented 90 Jamaicans who have participated in the U.S. farm work program for several years with the Prime Minister's length of service certificate. The workers were recognized for service ranging from 15 to over 30 years and are from farms in Hudson Valley, New York, the second largest apple growing area in the U.S. Technology Minister Philip Paulwell says government is committed to the island-wide expansion and increased access to information and communications technology. He was speaking at the Universal Service Fund's 10th anniversary and award ceremony recently. He said further rollout of ICTs would continue to be financed by the fund, which has earned more than $13 billion since 2005, $900 million of which has been spent to establish 227 community access points across the island.
That is still our pitch, to make Jamaica the first in terms of access to computer technology. There is a correlation with the growth in GDP. The more access you have to bandwidth, is the greater your GDP will be.
And finally, the public sector customer service competition is generating greater participation from the public and organizations vying for prizes. At a JIS think tank Wednesday, Acting Senior Director at the Modernization Program Implementation Unit, Michelle Gordon-Somers, said over 16,000 Jamaicans voted this year.
There were 12,000 who submitted votes through nomination boxes that were placed within organizations. There were over 3,000 customers who voted online through the Cabinet Office website and organization websites as well. And there were over 1,500 customers who were willing to participate in the island-wide telephone survey that was conducted to get their views on the levels of service delivery across the public sector.
6 entities are vying for prizes in several categories in this year's competition. They are the National Health Fund, the Passport Immigration and Citizenship Agency, the Firearm Licensing Authority, National Land Agency, National Housing Trust, and the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission. The 7th staging of the Public Sector Customer Service Competition will give prizes for the most improved customer service, most creative or innovative, most responsive, and the most socially aware public entity. The award ceremony will be held on October 9. And that's it for GIS News today. I'm Tamara McHale. Thanks for watching.
The Petro-Caribe Development Fund has been helping to transform the Jamaican landscape for over 9 years, expanding our roadways, modernizing our airports, facilitating the creation of jobs and providing academic scholarships, reshaping communities and improving sanitation facilities. The Petro-Caribe Development Fund, moving beyond energy security. To find out more about the fund, call 960-9110 or visit their website, petrocaribejm.org.
If you still haven't gotten all your child's textbooks or want to help others with theirs, the JIS Book Exchange program remains open. Donate, exchange, or share textbooks that you no longer need, whether they are new or used. For infant, primary, high, or even university students, exchange or share your books. Pass them on to those that need them. Drop them off at GIS's head office on 58A Halfway Tree Road or email pr@gis.gov.jm to make arrangements for drop-off. For further information, contact the Public Relations and Marketing Department at 9291919 or 926359024. Join the mission and be a part of the JIS Book Exchange Initiative.
You've got to start at ABC.
You know, most conversations about back-to-school readiness seem to be focused on things children and their parents need to be doing. And we agree with that. But there's another really vital group that cannot be overlooked. Teachers. We've got you covered.
Sound! 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 Let's try to put those together. Again? What's that word? Pops. Call that word. Pops. Call the word. Pops. This word says pops. All right.
Pretty soon, those kinds of scenes will be playing out in classrooms right across the island. But getting there takes a lot of pre-planning. And we know that for some teachers, this can be an exciting time, while others are anticipating the stress of the first day of class. So we have a few tips to help you start the school year right.
First and foremost, I have a passion. I love to help people. I love to help students. And one of my major success is getting a child who don't even know letter sounds. And at the end of a year or at the end of even 6 months, that child can read even a paragraph, and that is satisfying for me.
Most teachers will tell you that's their end goal. Not specifically the point of helping a child read, just generally making a difference. Taking a child from one stage of development to another.
You have to be committed, you have to be patient.
And you have to be prepared. So before that school bell rings for the first time, it's a good idea to reflect on the past. Experience is the ultimate learning tool. First-year teachers, you'll only have limited experience as a student teacher, but work with it and consult with those who've been practicing longer.
We have consultations where teachers meet and we talk about the program, how it is going, what we're doing, what areas we're covering with the children.
Veteran teachers, you have much to call on, so use it. Think of all the things that went right and wrong in the past, decide what to repeat and assess what needs tweaking.
So it's a step-by-step process.
And one important step is to begin as you mean to go on. This is an attitude thing. On that very first day and for the next few weeks, it's important to set the tone for the rest of the year. So go ahead and greet every student at the door as they come in. A simple wave or smile will do, and the reward is a more relaxed and comfortable environment for everyone. Experts also suggest that you make small talk with some of the students. Walk around and learn what they did over the summer and create an environment where friendly conversation is the norm for the very first day. Be sure to introduce yourself. Tell them not just your name, but also your expectations for them and what they can expect from you. Having a successful new school year will as much be dependent on your relationship with parents as with your students. Parents can be your biggest ally or your biggest enemy, so get them on your side. More important, make them a part of the strategy to help their children learn. Try to contact each parent personally by setting up parent meetings, calling them on the phone, emailing them, or inviting them to see you at school. Feel free to use these few tips to start the school year on a positive footing. Create a learning environment that is comfortable for yourself, your students, and their parents. And remember to enjoy the experience.
It's important to store water during periods of drought. It's even more important to ensure that the water is safe. Boiling and treating your water with bleach are two of the best ways to purify water. If you choose the boiling method, allow the water to boil for 5 minutes, cover and let it cool. Store boiled water in a clean airtight container and use something with a handle to take out the water when needed. If you use bleach to make your water safe for drinking, use 2 drops of bleach to a liter of water, 8 drops for a gallon, and ½ teaspoon of bleach for 5 gallons of water. Shake well and leave for half an hour before use. Water is essential to a healthy life, so ensure yours is clean and safe for consumption.
Over the past few days, the country has been experiencing rainfall as a result of systems being formed in the Atlantic. And while we need the rain, we have to prepare ourselves for other hazards that come with storm systems, especially hurricanes. These hazards impact us differently based on where we live, and the Meteorological Service reminds us of the dangers more common to Jamaica. So, as you watch, check to see which ones could affect you.
The impacts from tropical storms and hurricanes are not limited to coastal areas. When we speak about hurricanes, we seem to think that they are the hazard. But in my opinion, I haven't heard many people say this, but my opinion is a hurricane is a complexity of hazards, and there are actually 4 separate hazards that would affect us here in Jamaica. One of them is the very strong winds that we could encounter. The second is the very heavy rainfall. The third is the landslide effect that we would also experience quite often in Jamaica. And the fourth of these is the coastal flooding or the storm surge flooding, which is something that we tend to ignore quite often as we look into the hurricane season. And all 4 will actually impact on different areas of the country in different ways. Of course, the storm surge hazard would affect the coastline areas, but stronger winds would normally be experienced in higher elevations. So on the interior of the island where we have the hills, that's where we expect the winds to be more intense. We just want to add a reminder here that 116 is the number to remember during the hurricane season. 116. You can dial that number from any landline or any cellular telephone, whether it is One Lime or it is Digicel. But 116 is the number to call to get the latest update on the hurricane, any kind of news release that has been issued, the updates on hurricane activity. So we would ensure that that is updated. Rest assured that the Meteorological Service is monitoring. We monitor 24 hours per day and every day of the year, not just in the hurricane season. But in this season, of course, there's a greater alertness to any development that takes place in the Caribbean region, the Gulf of Mexico, North Atlantic Ocean, and so we are prepared. We have the experience, we have the expertise, we have the equipment to ensure that Jamaicans are kept abreast of what is happening.
Wet hands with water. Apply enough soap to cover all hand surfaces. Rub hands palm to palm. Right palm over left dorsum with interlaced fingers and vice versa. Palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Backs of fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked. Rotational rubbing of left thumb clasped in right palm and vice versa. Rotational rubbing backwards and forwards with clasped fingers of right hand in left palm and vice versa. Rinse hands with water. Dry hands thoroughly with a single-use towel. Use towel to turn off faucet. Your hands are now safe.
I know you've heard this before, right? Make sure to stock up on essential items and set them aside in the event that we are affected by a hurricane. But how much do you know about what should be included in this disaster kit? Follow me out the road for some answers.
Food, water, because you know water get contaminated during this time and so forth. Try at least to get at least minimum stuff that you can get for to last you at least a week.
One of the things I would look at is like a generator. Get that ready, because you know when hurricane hits, no power.
Hurricane season coming up, you got to have like food, flashlight, batteries, and all those stuff. Those are really necessary.
Candles, medication, you have like personal, you have to have that, batteries, you know, and important documents.
Candles and batteries for your flashlight and those stuff, and if you have a radio, that'll be a good, because you know your battery will be good for your radio so you can keep up with the news.
Flashlight, battery, water containers to store water, canned food, medical supplies, because if you're sick you have a certain illness, you should make sure you have enough medication.
When hurricane season, like people prepare like them food, them matches, them lamp, them kerosene oil.
Life is all about making decisions, choosing from a number of options to do a particular thing, which may result in a specific outcome.
It can be difficult, but there are 4 things you can do to help make that decision.
Stop. Check out what's happening and remind yourself to think before acting.
Think. Make sure you're aware of the choices, all the advantages and disadvantages. Then think about the consequences.
Act. Choose the best option and do something about it.
Review.
Finally, review what you have done and determine if it was good or bad. That way, you'll be in a better position to make the next decision, whether big or simple.
Fever, rash, joint pain and red eyes. All common signs of the Zika virus or ZIKV. Symptoms are usually mild, lasting anywhere from a few days to a week. Jamaica has no Zika cases, but if it gets here, it would only be transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Don't give Zika a chance. Prevent the breeding of these pesky mosquitoes.
The use of oil, cooking oil, a little tip of cooking oil poured on the surface of the water suffocates the larvae and prevents them hatching out. So persons can do that.
A reminder, the hurricane season ends November 30. We're now in the peak of it, which means the systems can develop at any time and increase in strength very fast, giving us very little time to make preparations. Here are some tips to secure that roof of yours.
Pitched, flat, arched or gabled. It's the last uppermost line of defense against the elements. Vital cover for your valuable possessions in the face of nature's fury. Roofs are essential to a complete, properly constructed house. And in climates like ours, must be laid to withstand destructive tropical cyclones, not least among them, hurricanes.
The 3 main types of roofs that we have in common practice today are concrete, timber, and a combination of those 2 with other materials. Hurricanes differ in their velocity or speed of the winds that might affect our buildings. So you've got to make sure that the structural integrity of the members are sufficient to bear the pressure that a hurricane wind would place on a roof.
Concrete roofs generally prove more difficult to destroy in a hurricane, but if improperly laid, are just as vulnerable to grave damage.
There's a great misconception about the concrete roof being all that waterproof. But from time to time, depending on the mix and the maintenance of the roof, water could pond on the roof and soak through cracks that would appear because of shrinkages that take place. So you've got to be careful and make sure that you provide an impervious layer to the concrete.
So before one slabs, an engineer must be consulted. The correct procedures must be adhered to protect your roof and the valuables it protects.
This is a clay tile that is often used on certain types of residential construction. It's impervious, it will not contribute to fire, and properly secured with fastenings, it will withstand most hurricanes. It was not desirable to lay flat because the water would go into them. This is another example of the sheeting that is commonly used on residential buildings. It's extruded aluminium sheeting. You see where the V goes up? There's a wooden fillet that is placed there, and each of those are secured by a screw. That enables the roof to stay on even with high winds. These are examples of the shrinkage cracks that you can get in your concrete slab. This slab roof has been rendered since it's been constructed. Yet still, from time to time, you will still get these shrinkage cracks. And once they're there, water can percolate through.
It's been 11 months.
7 years.
12 years.
Since I became the most important person in the world.
It's a big responsibility to know that her future is in our hands.
I have to tell him and show him that he is my number one. I want to prepare them for life's journey. So as them grow, them know the difference between right and wrong.
I gotta make sure we keep him out of bad company. Cause if I don't raise him right, the streets are gonna raise him. I feel, she feel.
If me stumble, him fall. Knowing I'm responsible for their future and they're responsible for Jamaica's future.
So I won't give up or allow her to quit.
I'm gonna make sure I'm safe on the straight and narrow.
Me prefer to tell them no now than watch them regret it later.
Because to the world, I'm just another person. But to my child, I'm the whole wide world.
When you hear that music, it means our show is coming to an end. But don't worry, another broadcast comes your way tomorrow, same time, same station. Until then, keep the link. Stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. We welcome your feedback, so keep sending your comments to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or a tweet at JIS News. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Have yourselves a pleasant evening.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.